Hi, I'm Jessie Walters from Charles Rutenberg. I'm here today with Cheryl Herney from Nightberry Title Services. Yay! Thanks for joining me. And Nightberry Title Service is our sponsor for the podcast and also who I use for the closings for all the actual sales that we make as sellers, and then sometimes as buyers agents too. I still send you those as well. I try
when you can. It's for seller doesn't care.
So I try to keep her busy and not rip her hair out most of the time. So
I wonder why my hair was thinning.
Yeah. You're like, darn it, it's Jessie's fault. So we actually just finished one the other day, 58th. We just got done selling that one.
That's right.
Yeah, and did you notice that the water test never came back? Did you notice that?
You know what? I wondered about that, and because I was like, well, nothing, no news is good news, I guess.
So on FHA, which no one is even accepting FHA. I mean, you hardly see any FHA sales.
No, you're right. I haven't seen any FHAs.
Yeah. So this was a unique situation. We had it under contract, and then we had to issue, and then the buyer's agent felt that it was in their best interest because there wasn't water pressure in one faucet. So I didn't think that was a reason to cancel a contract, but she canceled the contract. So then we put it back on the market. The seller was at the house, and the gentleman came who wanted to purchase the home. They usually have the sellers and the buyers not talk to each other, but these people actually ran into each other, and they hit it off. And she really wanted them to get the house. He was a veteran, so in FHA, and then we used the new DeSantis Hometown Hero.
Yes,
that's we used that. We maxed everything out.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, that was Hometown. That was the first thing. And I think that had come out in June, and here we are, July, and we've already used the Hometown Hero, which we didn't know what it was.
What did it do? Up to 15?
Yeah,
I think they use 13 and change.
Yeah, so they get an additional $15,000 to help with those closing costs. And the Hometown Hero, you guys can actually Google it, but it's going to be firefighters, veterans, teachers, and it said it didn't say teachers exactly. It said something like to the extent of teaching of children or something. It wasn't straight up teachers. Yeah. So so I wonder if preschool workers could get it too.
Like healthcare.
Yeah, I think healthcare and first responders.
First responders.
Yeah.
Okay.
First responders. Yeah. So those are all on the list of people that can actually get that extra funding and stuff. So we tried it, and we even accepted the FHA, which no one's doing right now. We went like above and beyond. We had to throw some heaters in that house. Did you see that?
Somewhat?
Heaters. So in Florida, you wouldn't think that we'd have to have heaters to pass the FHA.
Did you put those? Because we went stalking on the website and Zillow.com and looked up the house. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of house. There's like a house for for the children.
Yeah, it's like it keeps going and going. Yeah. Well, so when she purchased the home, there was the fireplace and there was a one of those old-timey stoves.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And so her mortgage was conventional. So we knew FHA would give us some challenges. So before we went in, I wrote an addendum for the buyer because the seller wasn't really interested in putting thousands upon thousands to get it up to FHA. But I said to the buyer, how much do you feel are you comfortable with? And so he said $3,500 I will put into it to get it up to FHA code.
Okay.
So we went from there. And so then the heaters came up. And I think it was like $1,500, and the faucet came up again, that there wasn't enough pressure. And he didn't even change out the faucet. He just messed with it, took the screen out, and it worked.
I was going to say probably the aerator. Maybe it's all clogged in hard water.
The home inspector.
Probably well water.
Yeah, exactly, the well water. And they called for the water test with FHA. They asked for a water test. The water test is to check the lead, to make sure that it's your human consumption.
Like, what do they call it? Potable?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The tests are for bacteria. The main test is bacteria. That came back fine. And then the lead takes up to 3 weeks. So I put a rush on it. And then because of COVID, they said the chemicals were back ordered to test the lead. And so that's why we couldn't get the test. So I think then the mortgage company just said, forget it.
And the seller's like, I've had this house for so long.
Yeah.
I am okay.
Yeah.
I'm as big as a pencil, but I'm okay.
She's so cute.
She's like 2 walking pencils.
I know. She's so tiny. Yeah, I'm like, you're so lucky. Yeah, she's awesome. She's like, until we meet again and work again. So we've gotten to be friends and stuff, the seller and I. And I said, now you finally got rid of me. No, I don't want to get rid of you, you know. So we're friends and stuff. But but I don't want her to sell her house now because I don't think she'll find another one in that price
No,
point.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Not comparable, not reasonable, not.
Yeah. So that one was, the one she sold was out in Webster. And that was the one down by, is it Kroon's Park or
The Croon's Nest, Croon's.
Yeah, Kroon something. But it's where they take all the dune buggies and all that stuff. So it's a lot of fun if you like ATVs and the dune. Like,
and that's where
that's where that house
the
was.
house is over.
So you go up I-75 and you go like 5 miles in the woods. So I'm driving my car and I'm driving in a straight line and dune buggy comes at me and kind of goes like that. And then I was like, oh, that's weird. And I'm driving, another dune buggy comes up, chicken again. And I'm like, at first I thought it was funny, but after like the 10th one, I was like, is this not my day? Yeah. And I'm like, why are they all doing that?
Twilight Zone or something.
Yeah, I'm in the woods and there's like all obscene, spray cans on the bottom of the I-75 thing. And I'm like, and people are dodging me and I'm like, I don't know, this is getting weird. But then as further I got out, it was like totally country. It's like this little piece of paradise in the middle of no man's land, basically, because you saw the house. It's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's so rustic.
Yeah.
So, we FHA took it and it's all sold. And
well, I know they were very happy.
Yeah, they were
very happy.
And the buyer wasn't supposed to contact me because I'm the seller's agent, and he said, oh, I just want to tell you thank you and I'm going to refer you. I'm like, you're supposed to refer your agent, but thank you, I'll take it.
Here's my card.
Yeah, here's a stack of cards since you love me that much. Yeah, so they were really happy, and they had gone and tried for so many houses, and FHA, no one's going to take it, so.
No, yeah. But wow.
Yeah, so right now still, and are you seeing conventional mainly in cash?
I'm seeing way more conventional.
Yeah.
Cash is not so much right now, but I've seen a lot of conventional.
Okay, because they, with the interest rates going up, I do all those, kind of the statistics of what's going on in the area, and it said that the future will be more cash being used because the interest rates are going to go up so much. But I don't know, people will be pulling them up.
Where's the cash coming from?
I know. Just print it up like the government does.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like maybe they'll our houses are worth so much more right now. Take out equity and pay cash for that house and then pay it off all.
The other house. Yeah, so I think what they're talking about, like as far as statistics and stuff, I think they're talking about the, so say you have a 401k and you're saving for your retirement, but then the interest rates are going up and your payments are going up, so people are either borrowing against their 401ks to pay off that mortgage and then trying to pay the 401k back, or just withdrawing their retirement and paying off their house because interest rates are going up. And they're saying that's not happening yet, but that's what they assume will happen.
That's actually kind of sad and scary, though, because come retirement and...
Yeah, where's your money? Retirement?
Where's the money? You're going to retire in your house and nothing to do. It's just...
Yeah, it's crazy. I know someone... So they send you those statistics. Well, they'll send you your retirement plan because self-employed. I have no health insurance. I have no retirement.
Are you behind? Does it show 100% and you're at 20?
Yeah. So somebody sent me a projected thing for Social Security, and I was like... And they were like, oh, your Social Security is going to be $3,000 a month. And I was like, what?
That's it?
Well, yeah, is that it? I was like, I wish I'm self-employed.
I worked really hard.
Yeah. I worked my whole life since I was like 15, as soon as I could work,
Right.
But yeah, they say that my Social Security is going to be this amount. And I'm like, I don't know where they're getting the statistics again, because you're paying in not as much when you're self-employed,
right.
I have to go to my accountant and say, I want to pay it,
in order to...
At least it's over $300 a month, I'll be eating cat food. And you guys remember me. The one with the morsels I heard is better than the... Yeah.
Start doing your research now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I still can
Before
taste
there's a shortage.
Yeah. Oh, shoot, I didn't think of that. There goes that retirement thing.
Cat food.
Yeah, so you're seeing still conventional mortgages most popular.
Conventional. I think I was saying, I did the one that you were just talking about. That's the only FHA that I've done in a while.
Yeah.
And the interest rates, everybody's paying points.
Yeah, and
Everybody is
what's
paying
the interest
points.
rate you're seeing on
I have not seen anything lower than 5.2 right now.
Oh, wow,
And that
okay.
was with points.
Right, so points, they're buying down the interest rate with so many $1,000 per point, and then they put that in your mortgage, so you're like, oh, I'm only going to pay $1,000 to bring that point down, but then you're going to pay interest on your $1,000 for like 30 years. So
Right.
No, even though you win, someone wins more than you. Like, nothing's for free,
Right,
with
of
that
course.
stuff.
Yeah, whatever's the best at the moment.
Yeah. So 5.2? That's the
what I've
average?
seen. That's what I have seen
What's
come
the
across
highest
the
one
table.
you've seen?
Oh, let's see. I would have probably like a 5.5.
5.5, okay.
5.5 is my.
Okay, and conventional
Mortgage.
mortgage?
Not too bad. Still conventional.
And are you seeing the 3% conventional mortgages or 5% or?
I
Just
can't say
5% or 10%?
No. When you
20%?
say 5%, 3%
Down?
like down?
Yeah.
No, most of them have been 3.
Oh, okay.
I would have to say 3.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that's a misconception with FHA, because 3.5% down, people are like, oh, I want an FHA mortgage because it's
'Cause it's
3.5%
less down.
And now they have the conventional mortgages, which are 3%, 5%, so they're less. So that's good as far as you can still get into it. You can still compete with other people.
Right.
Of course, it looks better if you've got someone who has 100,000 down and you've got, you know what I mean? 3%, you got, here's 9,000. These people have 100 grand. You're like, you're outbid, but you didn't even try. Yeah. So that's what I have. Some buyers right now, we just got outbid. I hate to say that because usually I get the bids, but we got outbid for cash, and they're not.
Well, because
They're not cash. They're
cash is
conventional.
king.
I know. Still, I know. When's that ever going to end? Never. Right?
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
It's
never.
not in your morally. Cash is not king, but to purchase real estate, cash is king.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you got the cash, which is always first place, and then conventional mortgages. But I've seen, I was talking about this last week. I've seen the days on market longer, and a lot of people.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So I think a part of it is because, and this is just my take on it. So when in 2021 we had days on market, we would try to get 1 to 3 because it made a lot of realtors made them look so good. Like, I had that house on the market and I got full price first day in. Then we learned as what's going on right now,
Right.
this market, that if we put it on the market Thursday, and then we have an open house maybe Friday, Saturday, and we take highest and best by Monday, that works better than just sticking it out one day and hoping to get the highest bid because it looks good on our stats for 1 to 3 days. As a realtor, like days on market, it makes
when people are shopping for a realtor, oh, look, they sold the house fast. Let's go with.
And they don't realize that, like, oh, days on market, wow, that's so impressive. You have all the statistics for days on market being like 1 to 3, but in reality, I had one in Hudson, and I was trying to tell them, like, just because it says, that's not necessarily you doing you any favors, putting it out there, and you just have it on the market for a day, and then someone comes in and they go, here you go, here's the money, and you go, that's good, unless you're one of those people like we were talking about again before, you're one of those people that don't want, you have dogs, you don't want people in your house, you're like a clean freak, you're OCD, you're scared of COVID, you know what I mean? If you go in that, you hate going out of your house, there's some issues now which were not like the norm, say 10, 15 years ago. Now people are like, you're going to come in my house, COVID's, someone the other day.
You're still having that?
Someone the other day was talking about the monkeypox. They're like, should we have them?
That's the new thing coming around.
Should we have them wear a mask for the monkeypox? And I'm like, I literally don't know. Like, at this point, I'm like, if you feel comfortable with us putting masks on, I'll put them right at the door.
Yeah.
And I have the shoe covers, and I have the antibacterial. I have like a kit. It's like I do for the front doors.
Those are your new open house kits.
Yeah, they are. Oh my gosh, one says clean, has all clean stuff in it.
And then dirty.
And then the other one shows like a garbage can. So one's red and one's blue and one's full of foot covering and masks and gloves and antibacterial. And the other one is where you put it all, the garbage. So no one wants to touch that basket, but I take that.
I don't know that I would even want to, like, all right, here we go. Got to dress up to.
To get to
see a
sell the
house.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and put all that stuff on and everything. Yeah. Well, I understand because I had some people, they had a brand new baby, infant, and they were and people, and their house is for sale, and they're like, everybody's just stomping through our house. So I'm like, okay, we're going to do this because there's a new baby. And then the one I had was in Hudson, and my customers are like, we're still on the COVID. We had COVID, but we're testing negative, but we'd like to come look, but we're still on the days we're supposed to quarantine. And I'm like, it has to be at this house with the newborn baby. You know what I mean? So I was like, no. So I videoed it, I FaceTime videoed it instead. But so there are still people doing that, And it's hard because if that's where Open Door and some of those places, it's not that they take advantage of the people, but it's the clientele they get.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. It's like, okay, you know what? We don't want to open our house to anybody. Let's just go with Open Door or whatever ones are out there.
Yeah. Not to plug for them.
No, right.
But they usually, they usually offer you about 20,000 less.
Not the best,
Yeah. Yeah. 20,000 less than off the bat, and then you're like, well, I can justify that with maybe commissions.
Right, and you and I had discussed that.
Yeah.
When we were doing the app, how much you actually lose.
Yeah,
Not only the commission that you're not paying,
right?
And then they go in and nickel dime you. That needs fixing. This needs fixing. We need this. We need that. And
that home inspections when they rip them up. I had one. It wasn't either one of the. It wasn't a. It was an investment company. It was on a duplex. Oh my gosh, they just, and I to the point where I was like, it wasn't even my place. And I was like, let's just forget it. But the people, they're like, we just want to be done with it. Let's just take it. And I was like, oh no. But that was on the market. That was a different, so the hedge funds, we had the same thing. They do the same thing as those investment companies when I'll buy your house for cash. It's a little bit less. Then I'll come out, I'll do a home inspection. I'll beat you up at the home inspection. Yep. And then the same thing with these hedge funds. Here, I'm going to give you asking price. Cash, we'll close in 3 weeks. Oh, that's fantastic. Home inspection comes out. And then they beat you up on the home inspection, 10, 20,000.
Then what are you supposed to do as a seller? And you're already like, okay, 3 weeks.
Yeah, and especially if you've already got a house that you're moving into.
Yeah, your hands are tied. They've got you.
They have you. Yeah, but if you're like, well, I don't really have to sell, and let's just put it back on the market. Then you have another beast. It's called back on market, and now you have another people judging because why is it back on the market? Why did the home inspection fail? What actually happened?
Nobody knows any of the backstory.
Yeah, and you try to put that on the MLS without exposing like your whole, you know what I mean? Back on market, no fault of seller, back on market.
Right, it's a disclaimer at the bottom.
Yeah, the buyer's a jerk. The buyer was a jerk. How unprofessional. Yeah, join me for more unprofessional tips. So everybody hang tight. We're going to talk more about the market and what we can expect for the future. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Jessie Walters. I'm here with Cheryl Alvarez Herney. So I got the whole name out. That's right. Nailed that. She's from Nightberry Title Services. She does all of our closings, or all my closings. And if you need a good actual title company to work with that is in great contact, they have an app that's awesome. You can get, as we were talking about before, you can find out if you're an agent, you're trying to sell, why you don't want to use one of those quick companies to sell. It has the part of the app shows you, has a calculator in there to show you a comparison of purchasing it, selling it with a agent versus selling it with one of those quick sales. And usually it's like 40,000 you save by going with an actual agent. So it's a nice app to show your customers and stuff. And then also you can see the interest rates and stuff like that too on there. And you can also see the closing costs for the selling and for the buying,
buyers,
even though I like to buy you. I like to bug you on every single one I do.
Right.
She's always like, you have the app. And I'm like, I just want to make sure I did it right. Did I do it right? It's only been 15 years.
And I send her pretty ones.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, send me a beautiful quote, please.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. That was a beautiful quote, please.
You're like, what? Yeah, because I figure you're probably having a stressful day. I know your job's worse than mine. So I was like, please send me a beautiful quote. And she's like, beautiful quote? Okay. Yeah, so we were just talking about after occupancy, where the seller will stay in the home after the buyer purchases it. So you've got a contract and you're there and you're ready to close, but then the seller says, hey, do you mind if I stay post occupancy for like a week or two, maybe 2 weeks is the average I've seen.
Right, that's about right.
Yeah, and so there's a couple things with that. So are you seeing those? That was the first. Are you seeing post occupancy?
I actually saw one. I was telling you earlier, a couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine sold their house. And they had to, the seller wasn't in a hurry to close because they didn't have to be out of their place till August.
Right.
So, but they needed to close in order for the interest rate, they didn't, lose the rate at that time. And he stayed an extra 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So that's like another thing to put in. So I'm thinking of it as in, their house isn't ready, or I never even thinking of locking in the interest rates. So that's a good idea.
More of the house isn't.
Yeah, so the house won't be ready, or
more of a construction.
So some of my sellers are not. I love all my sellers, but some of the sellers might get full of themselves because it's still the seller's market, So they're like, oh, I need a couple weeks to get out. I'm not ready. And everybody's like, wait a minute. Yeah, we're moving in on the 30th. What are you talking about? So, yeah, they'll say, well, can I have a week or 2 weeks? And I had one, and I won't mention any names, but she turned into kind of a nightmare because she stayed post-occupancy, but then she also ripped a bunch, I don't know if you remember this, I won't mention names, but she ripped a bunch of light fixtures off the outsides of the walls, and she took a bunch of stuff because she was still in the house.
And that's another risk.
Yeah.
I mean, when you do your final walkthrough,
right,
and their seller's still occupying, all their stuff is still there, and everything looks as it did before. There's no change.
So the one light didn't convey in the living room, but when she took it out, she instead of just taking it out carefully, she had like ripped it out, and there was like a beam. It was a beam showing, and so she got that out. So I had to pay to have someone come in and fix that and to reinstall their light for free, just because the way she left it, you could see a 2x4 in the ceiling, and then she took lights off, and a fan she took outside. So then the buyer. So
what are the repercussions? I mean,
so usually
you escrow.
Yes, buyer or seller, depending on who I have, I say let's escrow just as we would a rental deposit, just in case there's something wrong, just in case there's some touch-up paint we missed, something.
Right.
The chances of you
in case
losing
the seller rips out the fan.
Yeah. In case you turn into a psycho seller, like I was saying, I was kidding. So when that happened, I actually, because my seller was so fired up, I didn't take any of her money. I gave her money. I don't know if you remember this, but this has been like, this is 2020. Yeah, that one stuck in my head. But she didn't clean her house when she moved out. She left all the debris. She took fixtures, and this is post-occupancy.
And she was still wanting her money. Where's my money?
Post-occupancy nightmare, I like to call it. So I had her house cleaned for her. I had some real good cleaners that came right out.
Did all the repairs for her.
Yeah, did all the repairs for her. Bought the new light for her.
It's
hauled the stuff out of there. All her garbage out of there as the buyer.
So if you need an agent who will work for you, really.
And also can go to the dump for you. And I'm strong, so I can lift up your furniture and throw it in the dump. Yeah. So
put it on her back and carry it out for you.
I was like, to my husband, I was like, I need to borrow your truck, and I'll be right back. And he was like, do you need some help? And I was like, no, I think I got it. And he's always like, I'll go
Okay.
with you. Yeah, he's like, I'll go with you. Well, first I think I got it, and then you start loading people's stuff, and you don't realize, we had that whole truck packed out of stuff, and she had just left it, and a lot of the stuff had left in the garage and just and stuff. So, but we made that good. But that was a post-occupancy nightmare.
Makes it easier for to move out if it's in the garage.
Yeah.
Turning
It's
corners
almost
and
there.
tearing things apart.
Yeah, it was almost there, and there was literally like garbage in the bathrooms, and nothing was clean. And like I said, I got this great cleaner. If anyone needs stuff like that, to call me, because I have a couple cleaners that will go right out and make the house look new. And the buyers were happy because that was the street where I had. I'd sold one on one side, then one on the next side, then I sold one 3 houses down. So that was my street and river crossing. I had to make sure that everybody was good with my work,
Right?
Because that one street at the end of, I sold 4 houses. So I wanted to make sure I got all good referrals,
Right.
Good. So.
And this is why sometimes that 3% is like, Jessie, you're going to work for your 3%.
Yeah, I know, and I wish it were. We're not as realtors allowed to talk about like the commissions.
Oh yeah, but it's pretty common. 6 is average.
Yeah, Yeah, it's
6 is average.
It's been tough going on that too, and I feel bad for new realtors because of the news is like, oh, these realtors are killing it, so the commissions are lower than they have been in the past.
Well, and probably because everybody's competing. Everybody's like, I'll give you a lower commission. I'll do this. Or,
Exactly. And what I found too is a lot of the new realtors and stuff. So you have a realtor who's not seasoned, or you have a realtor who doesn't really know what they're doing, but they're friends of the family. That's like a popular thing right now.
Right.
So you get this person.
Family.
Yeah, who's
Family
super
referrals.
nice. Super nice, but they don't know what they're doing. They're like, did I do that? Like you were talking about earlier, did I do that right? And I'm like, yeah, and I don't mind, like I always say, I don't mind helping with both sides of the transaction, so that you're kind of have this protege that you're trying to teach, and then you're like, you got to call your customer, you got to do this. Did you line up the home inspection? Did you do this? Did you do that? And then they're like, oh my gosh. Oh, thanks for reminding me. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And my seller, I can't call my seller and say, oh yeah, they forgot about the home inspection.
Right.
They have 2 days left. Don't worry, they'll get it done. You're just kind of, and then at the end, they're like, thank you so much. I can't wait to work with you again. And I'm like, oh gosh. Yeah, me neither. Please, like, yeah. But you help people out, and it's good. It is good
Well,
vibes.
it's
and
good.
Stuff,
It'll come back.
Have you seen a lot of newbies in there lately?
No, but I do have
Just old faithful ones showing up.
Well, you know what? Not necessarily new ones, but I've seen some that are just kind of have joined in the last few years, or agents that had never really had listings, and they now have listings.
Oh, that's good though.
But I know that there's a class actually coming up with the Board of Realtors with the new realtor class coming in. So
yeah, they license them, and there's always groups. And it's so funny because I remember I went to Publix one day, and one of the girls, I saw a friend, and she's like, I'm going to be a realtor. And I was like, oh, wow, that's great. And then this other lady is like, did you say you're going to be a realtor? I'm going to be a realtor. This is like 2 years ago. At COVID, we all had masks on and stuff. I'm going to be a realtor too. Like they're all licensing while they're at COVID. And I was like, oh, great. There was like 3 of them. And I'm like, then I'm doing the
COVID realtors.
Yeah. I was doing the math. I'm like, is there enough houses for all of us to? And there is. It's like,
it's just hard work having to go out and find them.
Yeah, it's just more competition for, and that's the same with building and everything. Yeah,
with anything.
And we were literally talking about that you had sent me that about if the market slows, and as the interest rates are going up, we're seeing that the loan officers. What did it say? 2,000 loan officers just lost their jobs, right?
Lost their jobs from, who was it? Loan Depot, also known as, Quicken Loans?
Yeah, so it's
2,000.
So are those people at home, and they're just, I would love to hear the story on that.
My West Palm Beach office. there was a girl there that used to work there, and she reached out to the attorney who used to own that title company and the girl that used to work there, and says that she just got laid off with the mortgage company.
Oh.
But she was doing like the wire confirmations and the wire checklist, that kind of stuff, and she lost her job.
Oh, wow. So
I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
she's
just
like the
not-
one, I forget what they call, where they double check, like the administrators. go
Yeah,
through
making sure they
everything.
call and make the wires are going out
Yeah.
correctly in the amount and
Yeah,
that
we
kind of
don't
stuff.
need her. We don't need the person that handles all
Right,
the
we don't
money
need
anymore.
yeah. So I don't know if they had too many and they don't
Yeah,
have the
sounds
loans
like
coming in
it.
to support that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know, because a lot of them
think-
actually do it all from home, too.
Yeah, and I think maybe
Crazy.
this is why mortgage companies are being creative in their financing.
Yeah.
Trying to come up with different loans, different programs, like you were talking Hometown Heroes program
Yeah.
or whatever that is.
Yeah, so that program was from DeSantis from June, where he sponsored this for responders and stuff like that. So
But
that's-
again, it takes the mortgage company to be able, I don't know how, do they qualify to do a program? Do they have to go to different classes to be a part of that program?
So-
Because I don't know that every mortgage company, every lender, every broker is able to do that program. I don't know.
Well, so
I don't know how that works
so I
on
said that
world.
too. So literally, as I got this this contract, I mean, it sounds funny, but I was Googling and because now I have to not only, and I'd seen the thing where DeSantis
Mm-hmm.
talked about it, but I was doing something, I was side listening, but I was like, oh, that's interesting, not knowing I'm going to get this in an offer
an
within
offer,
like 5 minutes. Or like literally probably 5 days.
Right.
So I get it, and then I'm like, oh, let me go through. So I had to go through the whole statement again that he had presented and what it was, because now I've got to explain it to my seller to make it in layman's terms, because
Right, so they
so
understand.
she understands, and she's not that she's ignorant, she's smart, but then
Yeah,
I
she's very
barely
smart.
understand, what's going on, because it's just a brand new thing. So, so I read it all and go through it, and I'm like, to sum it up, they're getting closing costs, and to sum it up, it's going on top of the amount you're getting. So the appraiser, it's kind of on them to appraise over for those closing costs. So, which is unheard of these days too. But the appraiser did over as much as he could. Not the whole 15,000, which is what that is for. I think it goes up to 15, but don't quote me exactly, but I believe that 15 is a cutoff for the closing costs and stuff. And they got like
I think
13.
we started at 14, but I don't know if that 14 was just because that was going to cover without them getting money back.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's why they started
Yeah,
at
it's up to,
14.
probably
Or-
up to
yeah,
15.
yeah.
It's like the, when a buyer asks the seller for closing costs, we'll say to pay prepaids and up to whatever percent.
amount.
Yeah,
amount,
or $5,000
percentage,
or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so we had, but that one had all that. But there's also, those are, they have first-time home buyers, but a lot of the sellers are not accepting those right now. So you have like,
First-time home buyers.
you got first-time home buyer grant with
And
the.
sellers aren't accepting.
Well, so
Because
say
it's
you
more
have-
like an FHA and it takes longer.
it's so usually those hook on to FHA. But that the Hometown Heroes was conventional is okay. They said VA is okay. You can put it with anything. So it was not necessarily FHA, because I called the lender and they said it doesn't matter. You can put it with anything.
Well, you can put an FHA conventional and VA,
Yeah.
but you can't mix with
Cash.
first-time home buyer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No,
Probably
you
only have
can't
one
do
grant.
those both
Yeah.
programs.
Yeah, I don't think so. Now that was a good question, because I'm not really
I
sure.
mean,
if
I
you
wouldn't
could-
think if you could do
Yeah.
first-time home buyers
probably-
and the Heroes program.
You're like, I got
That's
this
like,
house for free.
woohoo!
Yeah, it's free. I just hang. Yeah, yeah. I don't think so either. But that would be awesome if you could. Yeah. So like we were saying, you're seeing still conventional and cash number one, but conventional
Right.
most popular loan right now. And the one I was saying we got beat out was by cash, and we went over. And there was like 4 bidders. And what's funny is on the news it says no more multi-bidder situation, no more, it's slowed down. But I mean, that was last week.
Well, I
for
think
me.
it slowed down to where it wasn't like before.
Yeah, like 30
You know,
bids.
it has
yeah.
it's like really slowed down, but it's not like after, what is it, COVID, when people were lining out the door,
Yeah.
and I don't know, is that
That was-
still?
No, you know what? When I went to show property, I was in Bear Creek in Port Richey, off State Road 52. So I'd sold these people's house, gosh, like 4 years ago, and then they came back to town and
Right.
they said, "Oh, we'd like to buy a house." So I going there, and there's a house. The house is the fourth house on the right, but there's a house, and it's like the second house, and there's all these cars. All the cars are down the street, and I was like, "Oh no, this is like 2020 again, 2021."
How many people are lined up?
And they were having like some party, and so I went to the next house, and I was like, "Oh, shoot!" and they look at me, and I go, and they're like, "Yeah, we know," like, because we had already been in the lines and the waiting every 15 minutes, because they'd already been involved in that. And I said, "I thought that was for here again, like old times, you know." So it's more like, you know, you'll go in a house. If you're really hanging out in the house, you're there for like 30 minutes. Someone will probably pull up. You know, if it's sought after neighborhood.
Sought after neighborhood.
Yeah, and the price point, the most popular price point right now is like 300 to 400. That's like, that's the, I want to say the median was 260, and now I think it's up from there. That's the most, it's hard to find anything under 300.
I think that's kind of what I saw also, too.
Yeah.
I told you I started becoming a Twitter junkie.
Yeah.
And I think that's about what it was saying.
Yeah.
Really.
That's what you see, because it makes that $300,000 the, you know, the average where people are, you know, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, Pasco County, 300, you know, Pinellas, Hillsborough, it's going to be more like 400, 5, depending on which neighborhood. So if you pick up the same house in Pasco, that's 3, it's going to be 4 there.
And if you want to go, to Hernando County, you can even get a better deal.
Yeah, it's going to be 285 there. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because it's hit or miss now. Well, Spring Hill is becoming close to like Hudson per square foot,
I was
but
looking
still.
at some of the paperwork you had there on Clayton, and I noticed that the desirable locations was, as you mentioned, Spring Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have 2 homes being built right now with a private builder, because the impact fees are less expensive, the price per square foot is less expensive for building.
With the private builder.
With private, and the builder, you can go down, you can see all these new construction homes, and you can still see that this builder didn't turn into one of those really super greedy builders. He's, you know, they're making money,
Cookie
but
cutters.
yeah, they're very nice homes and stuff. So we have, oh shoot, that reminds me, I forgot to pull. One of them asked me for their permit number, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get that right to you. And here I am doing a podcast. I forgot, Jonathan. I'll get that to you soon. All right, well, everybody, hold on just 2 seconds, and we'll be right back to talk more about the market. I'm Jessie Walters with Charles Rutenberg. Cheryl Alvarez Herney from Nightberry Title Services has joined me, and we're just talking about the market and interest rates and stuff. And we were just talking about, have you started seeing foreclosures? And on the MLS, I have not seen foreclosures and short sales, which are, it'll say, like a normal residential sale, say active, then it'll say single-family residence, and then for us, you will put in, if it's a foreclosure, if you have a bank, if you're representing, or if it's a short sale, you put in short sale, or if it's an auction. So I haven't been seeing a lot of them now in, 2010. It was so many foreclosures and so many short sales, and it was crazy.
That was
But
the
now-
market.
Yeah, exactly. That was like, well, and people would say, I don't know if I want a foreclosure. You don't know what people did to it. And you hardly saw people do really, really weird stuff to their houses, but I did see a lot of like cabinets being stolen out of the houses and refrigerators and stoves and
They get angry because they can't make their payments and the bank's booting them out.
yeah, exactly.
even in short sales.
Yeah.
I mean, people were just,
Yeah, it was bad.
it was bad.
Yeah, and then you get someone in the house, and then you'd have to evict him out with some of the short sales. and-
Squatters.
Yeah, so that was a nightmare. So now we're starting to see some foreclosures trickle in, but I want to say, someone was asking me, and I just told them, I think that next year, summer, you'll see foreclosures, because when
Yeah, is that what
foreclosures...
that's what you guess?
Yeah,
Next year,
because
summer.
foreclosures, they start, and people go like, oh, there's
Well,
a foreclosure. It takes
That's
a
true.
while,
That is
right?
true. By the
For
time
the
they actually
paperwork.
catch up and actually start doing the process.
And then two, you got to think about it. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see a house and it's like empty, and people are like, "That house has been empty for 2 years," and it took 2 years to
get
they winterize it, and then they go in and they, I guess, pretty much clean everything.
Mm-hmm.
They wrap up the toilets. They turn off the electric instead of turning it on, and they do all that stuff to it, and then they have to make sure the titles are clear, all that stuff, and then they were able to sell it. It's not
Right.
like, So you brought that with you. That was interesting. The statistics on the foreclosures for right now, starting, right?
yeah.
Right now in
2022
Florida.
economy rank, Florida.
And it's one in,
Well, yeah, and number 3, we're number 3, and that's not from 1 to 10. 3 is not good. With
Three's-
1 being
yeah, one's the worst, right?
one's the worst. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Florida being the top 3.
It's like, it's not a good review. It's a bad
No,
review.
right? It's not a good review.
So Florida's number 3, stating that 1 in $1,200, not dollars, sorry.
1,200
copies?
housing units.
Yeah, are in foreclosure. So yeah, a lot of times I'll see them on the Zillow. It'll say foreclosure, and people say, "Oh, it's a foreclosure," and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's been foreclosed. It means that
It's in the process.
It's in the process that the county. Zillow is picking up the county records. The county records are saying that this process has started. Doesn't
Right.
mean that it is.
The paperwork's been filed. That's
Right.
how they can pick that up.
Right. I had a customer, this is like, 2 years ago, and their house was, they decided not to pay their mortgage payment because there was a problem with the mortgage payment. When they switched, they felt it was too high, so they were in dispute with the mortgage company, decided not to pay
Fine,
it.
we're not paying you.
Yeah, put the house for sale. And so I keep getting these lowball offers in, and then I happen to just go on Zillow, because we're realtor, like MLS goes to realtor.com. It doesn't go to Zillow. It goes realtor.com, and then Zillow's like over here because their information they get last, right?
okay.
So it's on there, and it says people are sending low offers because it's showing in foreclosure.
Foreclosure.
Yeah, and it hasn't been foreclosed, but yet are there foreclosure proceedings? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's probably in the statistics here too. And also
So
they had
the seller's
HOA.
trying to beat the foreclosure,
Yeah.
so they're not going to take the lowball offers.
Exactly, yeah. So don't be sending those
Yeah.
lowball offers over. Yeah, they're like, even though it's in foreclosure, it's still a seller's
Right,
market.
right.
So 1 in 3, so which, who was number 1, I wonder? Because Utah. Darn. Is Utah number 1, right?
Utah is 1.
Wow.
They're not doing good.
Yeah.
But yet their foreclosure rate is still high. I mean, better, I
Yeah.
should say.
And then there goes Washington, then Florida. Because I feel like no one wants to live, probably, sorry guys, I'm sure some people want to live in Washington and Utah, but I'm famous, I'm always famous for every time we go on a trip, every single time, my husband, he like smacks himself in the head, and I go, why would anyone want to live here? Like everywhere we go though. And then some places I go, and I imagine myself living, and I'm like, and then I go on the way home, I'm like, why would anyone want to live there? Because we're so used to Florida,
Right.
15 minutes to a
You
beach.
have everything there.
And it's like you live in vacation paradise, so it's like, we're spoiled, you know? The
Yeah.
only thing we don't have is like sometimes those aqua blue waters, the Caribbean waters, and the mountains, you know?
Yeah.
So you just go get a fix.
You go, and that's not
Yeah.
even really far. You know,
Yeah.
North Carolina, Georgia.
Yeah.
Depends what kind of mountains you want, I guess, and what do you want to do?
Georgia last weekend. So we were in is it Aiken? Yeah.
Aiken.
Yeah, and we were it was interesting, but we had a fun time and stuff, but it was like a
And it's a short weekend drive
Yeah.
type trip, you know.
yeah.
It's not like,
It was 7.5 hours, I think.
Yeah.
No, then we
about-
stopped for barbecue, and then it was 8 hours because we found this great barbecue place. Everyone was on their way there, and I'm sending out the coordinates, and they're like, "Is that where you guys are staying?" I'm like, "This is the barbecue place. You guys got to go eat the best everywhere on the way, you know." But yeah, Florida, we're all blessed for sunny skies, and even though it's 100 degrees, we have
Right?
the good
It's
and the
like,
bad, you know. But so, do you?
I might move to Utah. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you get a
There's
foreclosure
nothing
there.
in Utah. Well, that could be. I guess it's got to be in the right place in Utah.
Yeah. And then we were talking too about the interest rates. They've pretty much doubled, you know, from last
This
year.
time last year.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
time
because it
last year
said,
doubled.
so last year it said interest rates were going to rise, and it was like a little teeny, and then it went back down. And a little teeny went back down. It didn't affect us at all. So people were like trying to lock in the rates, like you were saying. And that's why a lot of people want to sell, even if the seller is still in, to get that interest rate locked in and leave them in there. And most of them, that time, they don't have the nightmare story like I had.
Right.
But most of the time, they just put the escrow and the seller moves out and everything's perfect. Get your interest rates locked in, and that's like a good plan.
Right.
You know, it's just the ones that are waiting that were approved for 400, and now the interest rates have doubled, and now you're approved for 350, but you don't know. And so you're going all the way to closing because you got your pre-approval. So make sure if you're an agent that you double check that pre-approval to make sure that it's still valid. Because if they got it, you know, and you have to keep renewing it, but if they got it 3
Yeah.
months ago, they may be approved for less now, you know, than they were.
Right. Is there, yeah.
Because
yeah.
the interest rates are going up. Every time so if this is your mortgage and interest rates are going up, your mortgage is literally going down. So like the amount that you can purchase, unless you have cash and you're going to put that cash with it, you know. So, yeah, and you know, I was thinking too, in I think next week or the week after, I was going to actually do a podcast on like people that have homes that are getting into this, I want to say this pickle where they're concerned about the foreclosures and stuff like that, extra money that you can make out of your homes right now, just different, kind of like side hustles, you know, stuff I'm seeing, you know, that, you know, to make extra money out of your house instead of just saying, oh, it's just going to get foreclosed, you know, not to give up that early to think of ways to make income out of it that are
Right.
legal.
I was like, side hustle?
That's legit. Yeah. Just want you- like the one, for instance, I'll just tell one because it sounds weird now. So I'm going to just tell you guys one. So if you have a swimming pool, there's a site and you can rent out your swimming pool. So I was
Is
telling
that covered under homeowners insurance?
I don't know. It's probably a squeaky little, you know, I'm not saying it's legit, but, well, it's an app that you rent out your swimming pool.
Really?
I'm sure you have to have everybody sign, you know, like
Some
type
kind of waivers, disclaimers that if you get hurt, you're on your own.
Exactly. So I told my daughter that, and I go, yeah, so we would get home, and then when there'd be a bunch of people we don't know in the backyard, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. Why would you want to do that? And I go, knowing you'd be hanging out with them in the backyard. I have to drag you out of
Make
here.
new friends.
Yeah.
But you
She's
know what?
true.
Sometimes you got to do what,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
there's-
legal.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so there's a bunch of them that I keep finding, and then there's
Wow.
more. Yeah, and there's more fraud stuff too.
Wow.
You know, the fraud that we went through
fraud
that whole.
is just so scary.
Yeah.
It's just, that's a whole new,
Yeah.
I don't know, the more we get advanced with technology and the more we move towards the future.
There was a lady that just tried to rent out her house, kept renting out her house. Did you see that? She got arrested. She was on 70, I think her bail's at like 70,000. So she had a house, and she'd show people the house, and they come in and they give her a deposit, and then she'd have another one come in.
Another deposit?
I don't understand why people think that they're going to get away with it, though. Like, do they think, or they just they're just at a different place in their mind where they're like, oh, I just got $500.
I got to make some money. And
Yeah.
how can I do this?
Don't do this. So if you'd like to go to jail, I'll tell you how.
Right?
So, yeah. So that she kept collecting the deposits, and now she's in, I think she's in Hernando County Jail. She was in Spring Hill.
So
she kept having people come to the house.
Give me a
and
deposit
she'd have
and
a
I make sure you
lease.
get you the contract or the lease.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my
so the one
gosh.
she got all the money from, and she gave him a key that didn't line up to the house. It was a different key, not to her door. But she lived in this house the whole time. I don't know, how she thought she was going
And
to get
she
away with
lived
that.
in this house
Yeah.
and she was leasing it.
She was trying to
Renting
lease
it out or
Yeah,
whatever.
she's trying to rent it out just to scam everybody out of deposits. So it's the strangest thing. Yeah, strange. But she's in jail, so
When
that's
we
pretty
say
much-
be creative, keep it legal.
yeah, keep it So it's something that you would do upon, you like to have done upon yourself. You know what I mean? Like
Right?
good vibes.
Do unto others as you would do.
Yeah.
Others unto do to you. What is that?
Yeah, exactly. Don't do bad stuff. But yeah, so she had done that, and I had that too with they copy your realtor.com ad exactly, and it's for rent or for a lease, and they put it on Craigslist, and the one I had added a couple extra really nice photos that were not in the house, and then I got to this rental house, and she had a lease signed by the seller and everything, and I said, you're not, we never met you before. And they told her just to go in, that one of the windows was open, that they lost the key, and just to get in there. And someone called me and they said, oh, did you rent that out? I said, no. And they go, well, some lady was there sweeping this weekend. She was cleaning it all out before she moved in because she had sent them.
Oh,
and she had
my
done the gift card thing and all that too. So, and that's another thing that I think this lady had done, the one that just got arrested today or yesterday or whatever. She did the gift card. So that's like a red flag if you see the Amazon gift cards and,
Right. And you know what's really hot, actually, and hot and fraud, not hot on the market, are vacant lands.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we have a lot going through that we've actually, our Deerfield Beach office was part of one. Fortunately, they caught it before it went through.
Oh, good.
Foreign person, I can't say seller because they weren't really the seller.
Yeah.
And a realtor and the seller didn't know each other. Selling this vacant land. But when
Yeah.
we went to do the public records, tax collectors, the names. No, of course, he was impersonating
Yeah,
the
the seller,
sellers. So
right.
the sellers lived in Canada, and that's very common. They, when they seek vacant land, they don't live
Yeah.
local. So we sent a letter out overnight to the actual seller on the property address that's
Right.
in public records, and they called. They says, "I'm not selling my land."
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
So yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
caught
So
them quick.
vacant land.
Vacant land.
Vacant
Oh,
land.
that's scary.
Beware. Make
Yeah.
sure Fortunately, the vacant land that I've had, the realtor has actually known the seller.
Oh, okay, that's
So
good.
that's the bonus. Make sure the seller and
Yeah.
the realtor know each other if it is vacant land. If not,
Yeah, it could be.
careful, Jessie.
It
So
could be a
somebody calls you, "Hey, I'm vacant
slippery
land,
slope.
and I need you to be, my realtor."
I'll be like, yeah, where do I sign? I'm just kidding. I'll be like, who is this? Oh, I had, though I did have a tenant, and they gave me the landlord, which is the seller, because they're selling this property, but they're the landlord, and they gave me the exact phone number, which is I'm always like, oh, I got to Google the number, make sure it's the person. So I'd have the Pasco County property appraiser in front of me. I have the exact name of the corporation and their mailing
Yeah.
address. So I go, because a lot of times when they try to con you, they can't come up with it that fast. So I go,
No, they don't have it memorized, so they don't know it.
So I go,
Yeah.
what's the name of your corporation that you have this home in? And off the top of her head, bam, bam, bam. And I'm like, and what's your mailing address?
Yeah.
And then she got it right off the top of her head. And I was like, okay. I said, sorry to give you a hard time. She said, that's okay. I know exactly what you're doing. I've done it too. I said, I've literally had a tenant, or I say, I think this is a relative because their voices sound so much alike. So I said, you ring her phone number, the tenant to be, at the same time as I call the landlord. So I go, hello, this is Jessie Walters from Charles Rutenberg. I'm calling to verify rental. And I'm like, call now. I hear ring, 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 hello. And I'm like, and so I just go, are you the grandmother? And she's like, what? What? And I was like, is that your granddaughter? And I can hear her in the background. What? I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, she won't be renting the house because you didn't give like a legit, you know what I mean? And she's going hello, and she's going hello, hello, and I can hear the whole.
Oh my God, the whole.
Yeah, I was like, everybody's busted. But that's a thing though, when you're selling too, you got to make sure, like with me, I'll say, are you the seller? And I'll look it up, and I'll say, what's your marital status? And they'll say, well, I'm getting a divorce. I'm like, you're not divorced, so both have to sign if it's a homestead or residence in Florida. And they said, no, I don't have to. I just told, or he said it's okay. And I'm like, that's not
good enough.
And then when you purchase too, you're still married. And I said, well, you need to talk to your attorney. I'm not an attorney, but as far as I know, in Florida, a primary residence is a marital asset. So now you're buying another asset, and you're not even divorced. No, that's not a thing. I'm like, okay. So I can only like give advice only because I've seen,
Yeah.
where we've been like that one we had. The gentleman where was he from? Oh gosh, they're so nice. I remember her name. I can't remember his name. But anyway, he was married, but he said, I'm not really married. But he was really married.
It's like either there's two things. Are you married or are you single? Not really, or we've been estranged for 10 years, or we've been separated for 5 years. There's no such thing as legal separation.
Yeah.
So you're single or married.
We had to force him to get a divorce while he was going through the paperwork. This is probably 4 years ago. Yeah. And so it was bad, but he needed closure, and we helped him with that.
Yeah.
Time to get that divorce. Because he literally had a girlfriend and was moving in with the girlfriend. And she was like, he's not married still. He told me he's not married still. And I'm like, I was like, I don't know. Talk to him. And then I was like, get divorced. Get divorced so you can buy this property, But yeah, so that, there's a chain. There's a, and you have to have driver's license. You have to have social security number. You're not
And that's another question, ask for 2 forms of ID.
Yeah.
What's your social security number?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, and totally off that subject too, but if you're a realtor and you're going to an empty house, a lot of times you're going to want to send that ID over, your ID over. We're going to put it at the office, that's like a protocol, Some new agents get so excited when, they got the carrot dangled and it's, they're going to show a really nice house. You have to be careful still, People are crazy.
You have to keep your ears and perked and your eyes open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scary
Don't trust anyone.
Hate to scare anybody, but it's scary. It really is. It really is.
So everybody, it was great talking with all you guys. And if anybody has any questions or you're buying or selling, please contact me. I'd be glad to help. And everybody have a blessed day.